What's up, Fragrant World? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. And today we got a continuation list. We're talking about my top 10 favorite dry downs. Now, if you missed my top 10 favorite openings list, you can watch that here. This list really has nothing to do with that list. It's all different fragrances, but again, it's kind of a continuation. These are fragrances that I like them all the way through from first spray to dry down, but I do tend to enjoy the dry down a little bit more than the opening. So that's how these were put together on this list, basically from 10 to 1. And there's 11 here because I have one tie, but we got 10 spots. So I'm gonna try not to take up too much of your time. I know my lists have been dragging on. So to those of you who've been watching them all the way through, thank you, really appreciate it. But this one should be shorter, hopefully. At the number 10 spot, we have a fragrance I've only talked about one time, and it was in a list I did called Top 10 Most Relaxing Fragrances. You can go to my channel and look for that. This is from the house of Oriza El Legrand. Terrible French, I know. This is called Malaga Santa. I'm gonna just zoom in on it so you can see the bottle. Nothing really special about the bottle. This is kind of just a stock bottle. The reason is because this is a special edition fragrance. It was made especially for a perfume shop based out of Malaga, Spain, called Ecuación Natural, which means natural equation, if I'm not mistaken. And they basically took a fragrance that I think they already had pre-existing and kind of repackaged it and re-imaged it to reflect the time of Easter in Malaga, Spain. So this fragrance is incense based. You gotta love incense. This is a very churchy incense. It has a coolness to it, but it is very resinous and sweet as well. It's gorgeous. And as it dries down, it gets sweeter and more rounded and less smoky and just really beautiful. I definitely enjoy the dry down a little bit more than the opening, but everything about this fragrance is so authentic. If you're looking for that really authentic incense to remind you of that time of the year, if you're Catholic or anything like that, and you really have that memory of incense burning, this will do it for you. Incense and resins. It's really, really a gorgeous scent. So that is Malaga Santa. Here at number 9, this might be a surprise to some of you, but this is what it is for me. And there's a particular reason for this right now. And it's just kind of tailored to my experience. We got Creed Aventus here at number 9. Probably like, what? A great scent. I definitely like the opening. I like the dry down a little bit more. I've always liked it when that vanilla mixes with that ambergris in the woods. It just gets really gorgeous. But for some reason, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm having anosmia, but my bottle of Aventus, which I've had for almost 3 years now, it's not performing the way it used to. I've kept really good care of it. I've kept it out of light. I've kept it out of heat. And for some reason, it does not project anymore. It hardly lasts on skin or on clothes. I don't know what's going on. So I'm currently unhappy with Aventus right now. What I need to do is get my hands on another bottle or a batch just to make sure it's not just my nose. But for the moment, that is what places Aventus so low. But it still had to make this list out of all my fragrances because the dry down is pretty dang fantastic all by itself. So that's Creed Aventus. At number 8, man, gorgeous fragrance from an underrated house and a house I plan to acquire more fragrances from, or at the very least test more fragrances out. Don't want to jump to conclusions. This is from the house of Daniel Josier, I think also out of Spain, and this is simply his vetiver. And as I've said in previous videos, this is very similar to Terre d'Hermès from Hermès to my nose, but it's much more refined and rounded, and it's a little bit smoother. It even has a little bit more of a sweetness to it as it dries. It doesn't get too earthy. It's pretty filled out. It's not just like dry and earthy vetiver. There's some kind of smoothness to it. I don't remember exactly what's in the base that rounds it out. It doesn't make it creamy per se, but it's a little bit denser than you would expect from, you know, an earthy fragrance. But man, this is good stuff. Beautiful, really high quality vetiver. very easy to wear, very elegant. So that is Daniel Hossier Vetiver. Here at number 7, one of my favorites. I've spoken of its praises for the past year or so. From a great Italian house that doesn't get a whole lot of attention here on YouTube, Bois 1920. This is called Dolce di Giorno. Beautiful cinnamon, cedarwood, plum, vanilla, cypriol. It is, at first spray, it can be a little bit unusual to some, mainly because of that cypriol note, which gives it this like aged wooden quality, like an oak, like a wooden barrel or something like that. And it's a little unusual, but as that kind of dissipates, that vanilla and the cedar wood, and it just kind of takes hold, the cinnamon kind of stays in there. It's very warm and it's sweet, and it's so different. It's kind of spicy as well. It's pretty dang spicy at first, but as it dries, it smooths out, becomes very elegant, and that's when I've gotten the most attention from this fragrance, is when it dries down. When you first spray it on, honestly, people, unless you're into fragrances, I've had people be like, oh, you're wearing something? Because it's really strange and it's very strong, but as it dries, it gets really beautiful. We've got the green juice here. That's Dolce di Giorno from Bois 1920. Here at number 6, another one from the House of Creed, and the last Creed on this list. I know a lot of you guys are like, man, do you love Creed? I do like Creed. They are a favorite of mine. They're not my absolute favorite, and I'm branching out. I'm trying to really explore more houses. This is a classic, and this is one that I used to hate, and it's really the dry down that made me love it and eventually own it. This is Green Irish Tweed. When I first smelled this years ago, I thought the opening was strange. It kind of smelled a little bit like urine to me, believe it or not. Now I feel crazy for thinking that, but it's such a smooth scent. It's so authentic. It's green, it's creamy kind of, it's very smooth. There's a dewy nature to it to my nose. You got violet in here, there's some iris, lemon, verbena. It's sandalwood, I think, musk. And as it dries, the dry down is the magic for me. It stays kind of green, but it mainly gets smooth and musky and so, gosh, so inviting, really inviting and almost kind of sensual, especially for a fresh fragrance. It's good stuff, man. It's timeless. Came out in the 80s. It doesn't smell like it at all. And Creed has been good with that. They have a few other fragrances that came out, 90s or 80s, and they don't really smell like it. They smell ahead of their time. Silver Mountain Water being one of them. But Green Irish Tweed, this has to be here. All right, tied at number 5 here, from the House of Dior, both of these fragrances, from the Dior Homme line, which is, as you guys already know, a legendary line, a game changer, timeless fragrances. It's really refreshing to see that even in the past, 10, well, more like 15 years or so, we have fragrances still coming out that are timeless, that will be around forever, unless they're discontinued, that is. But in this case, we're talking about Dior Homme Eau de Toilette, the original, and this is the Parfum version, which is new to my collection. In fact, this is what I'm wearing tonight. I'm gonna actually put on a little bit more of it because it's been several hours. So we'll just pop on 2 sprays of this. Man, it's good stuff. Ooh, so elegant. Do I need to say anything about these? I guess I'll say something. Iris is the main player here, a powdery, lipsticky iris. They kind of just went all the way down, pedal to the metal with the iris in this one, but it's balanced. And this one with more lavender and some bergamot, but that leather and the cacao is still in there. In this case, we got some oud, we got some rose, lots more leather, very dark, very pungent. Yeah, I'm smelling it around me, but so elegant. And they get beautiful as they dry, especially this one. The leather really starts to shine with that cacao. It's a gorgeous combo. And this one, it gets kind of skanky as it dries. That just makes it really central with that oud. And again, the leather is there, and the iris, it's sweet also. This is a great line. I haven't smelled the new 2020 line. I'm a little bit nervous to do so, but I'm gonna do it because I have these. I'm not worried, even if they disappear off the face of the earth. I'll still have my bottles, but I do want to see what they're doing with the line, but I'm a little hesitant, but we'll see. Here at number 4, this is also a classic, another one that I think is timeless and kind of will be around for a good while because they're still making flankers after flanker after flanker. From the house of Dolce & Gabbana, this is the one, the Eau de Parfum. Great opening, but the dry down, man, that tobacco becomes a little bit dusty and earthy to my nose, but it stays sweet and kind of rich, but still not too dense. It's still kind of fresh, super inviting scent. Kind of basic, but also nothing really smelled like this in the designer market before this DNA came around. Super likable tobacco. Beautiful stuff. I love it. I'm loving it the more I wear it. It's super easy to wear. That's Dolce & Gabbana's the one. At number 3, yet and again another fragrance. I do enjoy the opening a lot, but it's this dry down that gets me. It gets so smooth. Like, you gotta be just posted up, just when this thing is dried down, this is how I feel. I'm just posted up. I don't even care about anything. Nobody can tell me nothing. I'm just like, yep, I'm me. Who are you? This is Reflection Man from Amouage. Man, this is, you gotta wear a suit in this one, or at least a nice jacket. This stuff is so elegant. It is so smooth, like I said. It's white floral, but something that men can easily pull off, but also very unisex, to be honest, even though they call it Reflection Man, mainly because of that heavy jasmine with the neroli, but that sandalwood is in there. It's fresh, kind of powdery. It smells white. It smells like the color white, but there's so much elegance in here, and there's so much confidence in here, especially like a masculine, elegant confidence. Really great stuff, again, especially as it dries, and for me it lasts all day, so I can enjoy that dry down for hours and hours. That's Reflection Man. At number 2, this one might be a surprise that it's not number 1, but it's still number 2. This is one of my favorite fragrances ever, at least right now, because I wore it the most last year. If you saw my most worn video for 2019, you know what it is. This is Layton. I love this stuff. The opening is nice. A lot of people had said in my opening video, oh, you didn't put Layton? It's like, oh, Layton should be here. I love Layton's opening. Layton's opening is great, but it's the dry down that gets me. It's that vanilla that kind of takes over, and it just makes it, again, very sensual. It is a natural aphrodisiac, as you probably know. It gets a little dirty to me, just a little bit of a dirtiness in that vanilla note, and that again is where I get most of my compliments, is when this is drying down and people are like,
what are you wearing? Wow.
That's what it is. That's Layton from Parfum de Marly. And here at number 1, not my favorite fragrance of the batch, but I gotta say the feeling that I get when it dries down is unlike anything else on this list, and also the feedback that I've gotten in the short time I've had it during its dry down is kind of unprecedented. This is a release from 2018, if I'm not mistaken, from the house of Azzaro, a designer fragrance here, topping the list. This is Wanted by Night. Hopefully you can see that on the top, the cool design. I like the bottle. Some people find it kitschy. I actually really like it, especially the by night version. It's nice in the opening, really pleasant, kind of designery in the opening, but I gotta tell you, man, at least on my skin, when this dries down, the cumin note, which a lot of people don't like, actually makes me love this fragrance. It brings a dirtiness that it's just like, it's kind of rough. It's kind of a jagged texture to the scent that it mixes with that tobacco note. It's still sweet, but it's kind of earthy and, again, kind of rough and rugged. And I just can't stop smelling it. I love this dry down, and it has good performance too, so it will last. Same with Layton. A lot of these are actually kind of beastly fragrances, except for Aventus. But man, this stuff, this is good stuff. I'm gonna love continuing to wear this winter. If I wasn't wearing Dior Homme Parfum tonight, I would be wearing this for sure. So that's Wanted by Night. Alrighty, now it's your turn. Let me know down in the comments your favorite fragrance dry down and why. You know how we do it. Let's talk about it. If you like the video, like the video. I appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed already, I know like 60% of my views on most of my videos are from people who don't subscribe. If it's commitment issues, anything like that, then come up front with it. Let me know in the comments like, hey, I watch your videos. I don't subscribe because X, Y, and Z. I'd like to know. That's the kind of data that I want to know as a content creator. I want to know the people who are watching and those who are subscribing. And I appreciate those of you who tell me that, hey, I just saw your videos. I just found your channel. I'm subscribed. Thank you so much. It's so great to have you. To those of you that just kind of sit back in the shadows, come into the light. Let's talk about it. I'd love to have you be a part of the community. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.